Welcome back. All right, so the day that I'm recording this is the day where the semifinals are getting started. Colorado was supposed to be in the semifinals. That was the plan. What got in the way of that plan was the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, in a normal regular season where they would be in the Central and Vegas would be in the Pacific, they wouldn't have met until the conference finals, right? And that, of course, is assuming that Colorado wouldn't have had any problems getting out of the division semifinal or the division finals. And there's no reason to assume that that necessarily would be the case because you have no idea how that would have gone and who they might have been up against and how an 82 game schedule might have worked out. So it's all speculative. It really is. But the reality is they would have had to go through a team like Vegas eventually, whether it was in this round or it was in the round previous or whenever. They would have had to go through a team that was experienced, fast, deep. This is a team that has a lot of depth in Vegas and a lot more experience than not the entire Colorado roster, obviously, but yeah, experience on the blue line was an issue. The experience was there for Vegas with guys like Petrangelo, and on the Colorado side, they're still getting it together. And their 39-13-4 regular season record was absolutely great. It's fantastic. But it also probably got buoyed a bit by the fact that you had the three California teams and Arizona as opponents to them. And so we'll find out next season just how close Colorado really is. Going into the playoffs, they were favorites. I had them as the team that I thought was going to win the Stanley Cup, and then Vegas knocked them out. But along the way, we all said the real test is going to be Vegas. They lose to Vegas in 6 games in the second round, and that was after they beat St. Louis in the first round in a 4-game sweep. And maybe that 4-game sweep gave them this idea that, hey, this is going to be easy, especially when you combine that with winning the first 2 games of the series against the Vegas Golden Knights. And that first game was just an absolute slaughter. So absolutely forgivable that at that point, maybe for players on the Avalanche, they thought, all right, so we've got this, right? And that confidence takes over. And there's a fine line between being confident and ending up overconfident. And I have no way of knowing whether that happened with their locker room or it didn't. But yeah, it's that fine line, right? So when we look at their special teams, it was fantastic. Regular season 22.71% on the power play, and in the playoffs 41.4%. No problems there. Penalty kill 83.05% during the regular season, 81.8% during the postseason. So special teams not an issue. Just again, Vegas found ways to get through, found ways to beat them, and yeah, I mean for Colorado, it's a learning curve. They're still on this. This was their 4th year in a row in the playoffs. I think the worst thing they can do here is panic, and I don't see any reason to believe that Joe Sakic would even consider any kind of panicky moves in the offseason. So when we look at their pending unrestricted free agents, if they want to remake this team on some level, they can. But again, the cap's going to start becoming a problem as these younger players start, running out their entry-level contracts. Gabe Landeskog, how much is he worth? We know he's staying in Colorado, but how much is that next contract worth, right? Brandon Saad played very well for Colorado in the playoffs. I honestly would be kind of surprised if they don't re-sign him. And yet, they may very well be looking at a cap crunch of sorts where they say we have to sacrifice having that contract on our team in order to make sure that we don't have to worry about losing other players later. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Carl Soderberg, both depth guys probably on their way out the door. Patrick Nemeth, I would think, is very, very likely to be on his way out the door. Playoff performance and everything. Philip Grubauer, how much is he worth now? So he made about $3 million. That was his cap hit anyways this season. How much is he worth? They have to keep him, right? He's nominated for the Vezina. It's easy to kick a guy while he's down, and I saw a lot of, well, he's just not good enough. And I keep saying it, I'll say it again. It has to be really tough because goaltenders are always graded on their last start. And you don't see that at any other position in hockey. It's just, you can write it off and go, well, that guy had a rough night. But when it's a goaltender, he's not good enough in the big games. He's just not good enough in the big games. So it's a tough crowd if you're a goaltender. Devin Dubnyk, who they really didn't make much use of when they got him. He ended up playing a grand total of 5 games. Didn't make any appearance in the playoffs, which is understandable because, it's the playoffs. But again, it seems like maybe that was a bit of a wasted opportunity not to. And again, you sweep St. Louis in the first round. By the time you're up to Game 6 against Vegas, it would be crazy to put Dubnyk in. But again, hindsight's 2020. And Matt Calvert's a pending UFA as well. He, of course, didn't play on the injured list. And so we'll see what happens with that situation. Pending restricted free agents, Tyson Jost, who flirts with being a really good player. Flirts with being a really good offensive player. Not often enough, however, to get a huge raise, but I would think they keep him around on a 2-year bridge contract. Dennis Gilbert, he'll probably get a bridge contract as well. And Cale Makar. Makar's pretty good. So you're negotiating with these players. You're negotiating with Grubauer, who's a finalist for the Vezina. You're negotiating with Cale Makar, a finalist for the Norris Trophy. One of the best defensemen, if not going to be the best defenseman in the league. I just can't say it with Victor Hedman in the league. But Cale Makar could very well be the next best defenseman overall in the National Hockey League. And so, how much is that worth? Does he get like a decent bump? Maybe $4 million a year, 4.5, maybe 5? Or does Joe Sakic look at this and go, this kid's the real deal, and give him the big money and a big long-term contract just to get that out of the way so you don't have to worry about it later? He has to make more than Girard, right? Girard, very good young defenseman. He's not Makar. So in the 22 and under category, and this again is players who were 22 or younger at the start of the season, Cale Makar, Sam Girard, Connor Timmins, Bowen Byram, all defensemen. All key defensemen going forward. You have to have veteran defensemen to keep everything calm. Again, Pietrangelo for Vegas. That's why they brought Pietrangelo in. Good veteran defenseman who can score points, leadership role, and all that. And I know Eric Johnson was injured most of the season. I don't think Eric Johnson being in the lineup would have helped them beat Vegas. I think they need, and again, back in the old Colorado days when they had Rob Blake come in, it worked. And they need that kind of infusion on the blue line. A very talented, very good blue line that is still learning. Tyson Jost is also 22 and under. Alex Newhook, of course, who made his debut this year. Martin Kaut, Keaton Middleton. So there's a lot, and I'm just mentioning Keaton Middleton at the end. He only played the 3 games. Not really a key part of the blue line at this point. Maybe at some stage, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of young players here, and this is part of the reason why there's not really a reason to panic if you're Colorado. This is the first year they've been a favorite to win, and they didn't win it. That's pretty standard. Tampa Bay, how many years were they a favorite, didn't win it? What about the Caps? How about the Penguins? A lot of teams that when they're favorites don't necessarily win it. 32 and over, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Carl Soderberg, Eric Johnson, Devin Dubnyk. And for next year, I would think Johnson's the one that'll be back next year. I would think of that 4. I don't think any of the other 3 come back. Maybe Bellemare signs for decent amount of money, but it is going to be interesting to see how this works out. Now, their leading scorer during the regular season was Mikko Rantanen, 52 games, 30 goals, 36 assists, 66 points. And in the playoffs, it's Nathan MacKinnon, 10 games, 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points. And yet, there are those that will question whether or not he's good enough to get over the hump. As the question was asked about Yzerman, as the question was asked about Lemieux, as the question was asked about Sakic. We've been here before. Regular season best goaltender, same as in the playoffs, it's Grubauer. 39-1 with a .922 save percentage, 1.95 goals against. Not having Pavel Francouz as the backup / 1B for this team, I think it hurt. I think that Francouz, his presence not on the team the entire season, I think that hurt things for them. In the playoffs, Grubauer plays every game, 6-4 with a .914 save percentage, 2.61 goals against. And so we'll see whether or not Francouz is able to play next year, how that changes the picture if he does. He's the one they have under contract. Johansson's expiring contract as well. He's a UFA too. So the only one they have under contract right now as I'm recording this is Francouz, who didn't play at all this year. Last 5 seasons. So this shows you that, this was their first year's real favorite. 39, 13, and 4. Again, losing in round 2 against Vegas. Previous season, 42, 20, and 8. They lost in round 2 against Dallas in 7. Remember, they were down to Michael Hutchinson by the end of that series, and they still almost took Dallas out. 2018-2019, they were 38-30-14. They lose in round 2 against San Jose. That was in 7. There was some controversy in that series. 2017-2018, they were 43-30-9. They lost in round 1 against Nashville in 6. And it was an unexpected run by the team that year, because the previous year, 2016-2017, they were 22-56-4. Miserable record for Colorado that year. And then since then they've turned it around. It's been just this miraculous turnaround once you reach 2017-2018. The Matt Duchene deal really helped the whole team become what it is now. It's incredible to see how quickly this team's turned it around. The best contracts going forward: Nathan MacKinnon, great contract, $6.3 million until 2023, which might help in negotiations with Cale Makar, where you sit down with him, you go, here's the number, and if Makar says that seems kind of low, you can point and go, hey, so the guys on this team, the top guys on this team, this is what they get, this is what they make. And so if you can present it in a team budget perspective, a Boston-esque kind of perspective, maybe you get Makar to sign for less. Sam Girard, $5 million until 2027. So he's there for another 6 years after this one, and at $5 million per, great run. I understand he had struggles in the postseason. He's also 22 and under at the start of the season this year. So again, learning. Defenseman, it takes some time. You're not necessarily gonna win that first time. You might, but in all likelihood, you probably won't. So I think Colorado's in pretty good shape going forward. I expect them to still be the number 1 team in their division next year. But that question of how you get past round two, get past that and get into the conference finals, that's the question. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.